The party's over. The speculation's over. The playoffs start this week. It's time to get serious. No more Mr. Nice Guy. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? This is NFL Weekly Throwdown, Wild Card Weekend. And we have been at this since, I don't know, I think we started week 6 or 7. We got a little bit of a late start trying to get our analysis together. Vinny's been with me the majority of the weeks since then. And we are winning, folks. We're doing it. And guess what? We are both emotionally attached to two teams who are in this wild card weekend, both going in kind of different directions. We'll get into all that. But before we,
that's putting it nicely. That's putting it nicely.
Yeah. I don't want to pick on the guest, But listen, Vinny, you've been doing an awesome job. 55.2%. Here we go. We're breaking it down. I've done like whatever that is, 221 games, 54% clip on average across spreads and totals, plus 890 if you bet $100 a game. Vinny's plus 510 at 55%. A much smaller sample size, but he's killing it. He's a little better percentage. So what do you want from us, folks? We're trying our best. And I'm going to be honest with you. I'm a Lions fan. If you haven't watched the show before, I'm emotionally engaged like never before in this playoffs. And to find the Lions going against Matthew Stafford, that's just one of the awesome storylines in this playoff weekend. I'm excited, folks. And you know what? The NFL sucked for a few years there for me. But I'm back. I'm fully engaged. And I think this year's been crazy. I'm sure Vinny thinks differently because he is a Eagles fan. Let's jump into it, Vinny. We have 6 games this weekend. Obviously, you've got the wild card weekend. You got the 4 best teams in the league getting the bye weeks.
Just the 2.
Just the two, rather. I'm sorry. The Ravens and the Niners sitting on the bench, watching and seeing what happens. Yep. And the rest of these losers are going after it. And by the way, the Lions should have been in contention for this. But Jerry Jones and his raping ways and the Cowboys paid off the referees enough to get that done. And we can all agree to hate the Cowboys, right? Comment below if you don't agree with that. But, F the Cowboys, F Jerry Jones, F his family, F Jimmy Johnson going to the Ring of Honor, F him, F Dak Prescott, F Emmett Smith, Michael Irvin, all of them. I hate all of you. All right, let's get going, Vinny. I hope we can come to some decisions on these games because we only have 6 games, and I will tell you straight up, I have 6 bets in 6 games. So between these spreads and totals, I'm on it, folks. Let's talk about this one first. The first matchup of the weekend is Saturday afternoon, 4:30, the Joe Flacco led Cleveland Browns, and I never thought I would hear myself say that sentence again since 1990, into the C.J. Stroud Rookie of the Year, Surprise of the Year, Houston Texans. We have the Browns at minus 2.5 on the road, and we have 44.5. Vinny, what are you doing here? What are you thinking? Give me the rundown.
I'm taking the Browns. I just think their defense. I'm taking the Browns to cover 2.5. I think their defense is going to end up being too much for the Texans. Stroud's had a really nice year. He has the games he's struggled in are the games against the better defenses. I think the Browns end up getting this done on the road.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the story of the year is Joe Flacco to me. Comeback player of the year, whatever you want to call him. They pulled him out of mothballs. And to me, we've talked about this before. I was never that much of a Flacco guy, even in his prime, because he was on the Ray Lewis teams and, he won a Super Bowl. He was good. He was serviceable. I did not expect what I'm seeing here, but this is very much like that Ravens team. This Cleveland defense is amazing. Here's my thing, though. I have this game. My numbers come back to me as 22-22 on paper. A complete push. If I'm forced to bet this thing, I'm taking the Texans. Give me the points.
Yep.
But
that makes sense.
Tread lightly. I mean, you've got a rookie in C.J. Stroud. How does he handle the big lights on the big stage? I don't know. Flacco's been here before, and to be honest with you, I'm rooting for Flacco and the boys. But on paper, I like Houston just by a touch. And like I said, 22-22, so 44 is right where Vegas is at on here. Do you have any thoughts on the over/under?
No, this is one of those games that like I would lean towards the under, but I'm not going to touch it because Stroud is able to put up points in a hurry. Flacco, the last few weeks when he's played for Cleveland, he's been they've been putting up points. So
he's been elite. Let's be honest, Vinny. He's been elite.
He's been great. He played so well that like with the way he signed his contract or whatever for when they signed him, he technically needed to play week 18 to like trigger some sort of bonus, and they paid him out anyway, even though they didn't play him. They paid him. They gave him his games played bonus or whatever for his contract, even though he didn't play. So like he should be comeback player of the year in my opinion. He probably won't get it, but he should be, even though he's only played like 5 games.
Right, and to be honest, dude, I never liked him when he was in his prime. I really didn't. I thought he was one of these guys like an Eli Manning. On a good team, he's good, blah, blah, blah. Yep. Kind of like, honestly, my team, the Lions, Jared Goff. If the team around him is great, he's good. And that's how I feel about Flacco. But right now, I'm rooting for the guy. He's 38, 39 years old, whatever he is. He's playing the best ball of his freaking career. And the Browns fans, much like the Lions fans, goddammit, deserve to be good. I'm rooting for him. Much like my Lions. The Houston Texans fans, they don't deserve it yet. They haven't had 50 years of misery like the Browns have and the Lions. So let's go Browns. Let's go Flacco. And again, my numbers tell me that the Houston should cover here, but I'm rooting for the Browns. What are we doing next up? We got, let's see, the Fish. These two teams to face off against each other is perfect because I can't tell you. I think the two most overrated teams in the NFL at this point. And for them to face each other at Arrowhead, I'm sure the Chiefs are going to win this thing. But let's see. We have minus 3.5, 44. Making sure that matches I have minus 4 and 44. Vinny, give me your shot on this one because I think the Dolphins are their definition. Besides, we'll get into the Eagles in a bit, but the definition of backing in and looking like shit heading into the playoffs is the Dolphins. Give me your take on this game.
Yeah, I'm going with Kansas City. I think Kansas City covers. I think Miami ruined their play. I think Miami had a shot in the playoffs. So they could have gotten at least mild home field, getting the 2 seed. This team hasn't been able to play on the road all year. They've beaten the only above 500 team they beat this year was the Cowboys, who they played the NFC East played a pancake schedule this year. I don't see how Miami wins this game. And also Kansas City, kind of like Cleveland. Kansas City's had a top 7 defense all year, even though the offense hasn't been there. I think they're going to be able to hold this Miami Dolphins team in check, and I'm expecting it to be close. So I mean, the 3.5 is a little scary there. Definitely not one of my stronger plays, but I would be shocked if the Chiefs got bounced in the first round at home.
Me too. And I'm going no bets in this game because I think Vegas is pretty right at that 3.5. I have this game 24-20, which is dead nuts with the over/under too. I don't think this game is bettable. I would be shocked. I'm right there with you. I'd be shocked if Mahomes goes out at home. He's not going out at home.
Yeah.
Because the Fish they're at some points, especially early in the year, we thought this was the most explosive team in the league, and they were at times. Well, at home.
They still are. The issue is anytime they played a defense worth anything, they folded. I mean, even and like
they're a bully who beats up on the weak kid at school.
Yeah, they are just like Dallas, in my opinion. They beat up on bad teams this year, and when they played good teams, I mean, realistically, I mean, they should have beaten the Bills on Sunday, and they just couldn't. The second half of that game, they couldn't figure out how to. Tua couldn't figure out how to throw the ball.
And if you think they're going out they're going out to KC and beating the best quarterback of this generation, Mahomes, who's been here and done that.
Like,
and Kelsey and these guys, they've all been there 1,000 times. They are not going to bend over for the Dolphins.
Yeah, and it's one of those things. I've been joking about it with the guys at work. Like, even though this Chiefs offense hasn't been great this season, at least once in this playoffs, like the Chiefs, it's going to be like a tie game, or the Chiefs are going to be down by less than a score, and somebody's going to have to give the ball back to Mahomes with like 2 minutes left.
Yep.
It's like,
and that's why I would never bet this game.
Yeah.
No bets for me. I do think I do definitely lean. Actually, I lean Miami, but only by 0.5 point, and the over/under is dead nuts. Just stay off of this one if you have a brain. If you think KC could blow them out, I wouldn't be surprised by that either. But I'm off it, baby. This is the game to avoid. There's 2 games for me to avoid, and this is one of them. We'll get into it as we go along. How about the Steelers? Maybe the worst team I've ever seen make the playoffs. Heading into Buffalo, and I say that with a little bit of hesitation, because this 9.5, I have it at 10. Do you have a
I
live?
have it at 10.
That's
yeah,
incredible.
I had it at, I believe
that's
I had it
incredible.
At 10.
We all know Josh Allen doesn't like to win by a big margin, but let's talk about this one, because I have, out of these 6 games, I have 6 bets, and I have 3 green light bets, and 2 of the 3 green light bets are in this goddamn game, baby. What do you got, Vinny? Tell me? Talk to me. 9.5 or 10 and 35.
Buffalo's supposed to get weather this weekend. So like, this is, I am taking the Steelers to cover on the sole play that this is going to be a wet mess, whether it be snow or a lot of, or like freezing rain. But also, I think the Steelers team's looked really good since Mason Rudolph took over. I mean, he's not, by no means is he a good, in my opinion, is he like a great quarterback. But
Kenny Pickett's small.
Oh, Kenny Pickett was terrible. But also the offensive line.
Thanks for coming, Kenny.
Oh, yeah. The offensive line's been able to like actually block these last like 5-6 weeks, and Najee Harris is running the ball. And like, I think the run game is going to keep Pittsburgh in it, because the Bills don't really have that great of a defense. I know, like, they have some games this year that I think have inflated where their defense finished. Like, they shut out the Commanders, which completely skews a bunch of their stats. You got to play they played the Patriots and the Jets twice, even though they lost to both of them. Like, they played a lot of offensives that weren't great this year, which I think inflated where their defense finished. But even on Sunday when they played Miami was able to move the ball. Miami basically lost that game themselves, though. So I think Pittsburgh's going to be able to move the ball a little bit against them. So yeah, I'm going to take them to cover.
Yep, agreed. That's a green light play. Pittsburgh plus 10 is wild to me. I can't imagine this game being a blowout. Number 1, is Buffalo the better team? By far, yes, 100%. Will they win the game? Yes. Not 100%, maybe 90%. I wouldn't be shocked if Pittsburgh goes in there and beats them, just because, for whatever reason, and I love Josh Allen. I think he's a generational talent. But the MFer has rape me tattooed on his back or whatever when it comes to these big games. And I would not be surprised if they get bounced here. I wouldn't bet on it. I think Buffalo wins the game. Pittsburgh is going to cover, man. 9.5, 10 points is wild.
Josh,
my other play is Vinny, the over 35. Get out of here.
It depends on I feel like it depends on the weather.
Yeah.
Like, if it's a clear game, if it's a clear day, yes, 100%.
If they're snow plowing shit off, yeah, temper that.
Yeah,
but if it's halfway clear,
yep, I agree. I agree with you.
But that's why 41 points.
Yeah,
I got it a full touchdown higher than the Vegas number. Again, if they're snow plowing the hash marks, yeah, take it easy on that. But I would not take it easy on Pittsburgh. I think that might be the best bet of the week to cover the 9.5 or 10. I really have it at like 23-20.
Yeah.
It's going to be, we all know Josh Allen loves to win or lose in a dramatic fashion. It's not going to be a 9.5 point game. Folks.
Yeah, I mean, it could. If Buffalo puts all the pieces together, which they've done like twice all season, and they play an A+ game, I think they can blow them out. But they're so even the last couple of weeks. I mean, the Bills have won what 6? They've won 5 straight games. The Bills. I would say in 4 of them, Josh Allen has not looked good. I mean, even on Sunday, he had 2 awful interceptions that were him. I mean, they weren't anybody else. They were him. And like they got bailed out by a Miami team that just stopped. Like that punt return saved them for getting a home game. So I don't know. They just haven't looked great, even though they've been winning games. But I guess that's what good teams do. Good teams win games they're not supposed to win. So,
and I'm sorry, like if I sound like a Josh Allen hater, it's just because like I expect better from him. I like him.
Yeah,
I would seriously celebrate and hand over the reins to him as one of the best of this generation if he gets it done. I want to see it. I really do, especially against the Steelers. I hate the Steelers.
I
think he's. If you've ever paid attention to this channel, I'm a Josh Allen advocate, dude. I like him a lot. Like I just cannot believe
he
hasn't put together something better than he has so far.
Exactly. I think that's kind of everybody's thing on him is that it's kind of becoming
I'm
his
rooting
MO.
For him. I love his heart. He's gritty. Yeah.
He scores. He knows, like he leads the team.
He goes in there. He hits a linebacker head on with his helmet down. Yeah, he's fucking man. I love him, but
he's just in the same spot though where he was like 3 seasons ago. Like he hasn't
just gags in big moments, and I don't know if he'll ever get over that. Some people are that way. But with that said, the Steelers are I think I'm going to go ahead and say it, that the Steelers to cover that 10 points is my best bet of the week. Let's start talking about later in the day on Sunday, Green Bay Packers. This is an interesting one, folks. 9-8 going in. And if you're not paying attention, the Green Bay Packers 9-8 is a little subdued compared to what's actually happening here. It's a rookie quarterback on paper, but Dallas Cowboys 12-5, who are very much living through the fortune of a weak schedule and the benefit of that Lions game that we'll not mention. But Cowboys -7.5, over under 51. This is a wild one, and I think this is a very easy game to make some big opinions on. And like I said, I have 6 bets. Another 2 of them. Last game I had 2. This game I have 2. Vinny, where are you at?
I'm on Dallas. I hate it. I absolutely hate it. But
you have to hate it as an Eagles fan. You hate yourself right now.
I have to hate it, but I honestly I can't believe this Packers team 1 is in the playoffs. 2, I think they're terrible. I mean, I know everyone's like, oh, Jordan Love has looked great. Like I don't think he has. Like
great compared to what? Great compared to himself, yeah. He looks great compared to what he looked like at the beginning of the year. Yes.
Like this team has lost 6. This team has I don't know. Like they've been winning late. Like yes, they've been winning lately. But you look at who they beat. Like yes, they beat Detroit on Thanksgiving, which is kind of Detroit's MO to lose on Thanksgiving. Unfortunately, it really is. They beat Kansas City
and they split with Green Bay every year, no matter who's great.
And they beat Kansas City at home, fine. But then, like their last 3 games are against a Bears team that the franchise is like in disarray. They beat a Vikings team that was just bad this year,
terrible,
and they beat the Panthers by 3 points. Like Dallas isn't great, but like I don't see a scenario where this Green Bay team is even competitive here. So I'm taking Dallas.
Where are you at on the over-under at 51?
I'm staying away from the over-under just because I feel like the same way I did with Washington last week with Dallas. This could be one of those games where Dallas puts up 40 points, or it could be a game where they win 28-4, or 28-7 or something like that. So I think the over-under is a little crazy, and it's just because of how inconsistent Dallas's defense is.
All right, I'll go. Green Bay is better than a lot of people think they are. but they're not as good as some people think they are. I think they deserve to be here, especially with Jordan Love as I call him a rookie. He's a third-year player, whatever, rookie starter, and he is not great. The Lions, I've watched every Lions game. I've watched a lot of Green Bay games. He has been a mixed bag of fun. Someday you see he's got some talent. Like if I'm a Green Bay fan or a coach, I'm attaching myself to him. Like I'm comfortable going forward with him as the quarterback. I think he's good enough to feel comfortable going forward. So I'm not going to shit on him. I don't think he's exceptional. But my thing is, dude, with Dallas, and I know you can agree to this because we talked about it all year, they're way overrated. And I think
100%.
If you give me a franchise tonight, I'll take Jordan Love over Dak Prescott, and I guarantee I'm going to get assassinated on live TV.
No, I would too. I don't think Dak
sucks.
Yep, but they surround Dak with great weapons. That's the only difference. I feel like this has just been Dallas's MO all year, though. Like
they're a fraud, and I think the NFL wants them to be there. And this isn't because we got cheap shot out of the Lions game, but it's just been the history of the Cowboys. I hate this team, and if you like this team, I hope you have a family member that was on this team, or you lived there, grew up. Maybe your dad was on the fucking staff or something. But if you like that team, and Jerry Jones with his raping tendencies and everything about this raping team, F you. And if you like Michael Irvin, Troy's the only one with any class. Emmitt Smith's a pile of shit. Michael Irvin's a pile of shit.
I hate Troy Aikman.
I don't care if you like him or not. I mean, at least he doesn't embarrass his family.
This is just
Dallas is McCarthy's a pile of shit.
I don't think McCarthy's a good coach. This is kind of.
He's not even close to a good coach. He's garbage.
No. This has just been their MO all year. They beat bad teams, and unfortunately, I feel like the NFC side of the playoffs is filled with bad teams. So
if you don't think though, I'll get to the point here because people are looking for bets. I do think Green Bay is going to cover the 7.5, but I think the under. This is going to be an under 100% of the time. 50.5, 51. I got here. I had this game at 45 or less. These two teams, I think they're going to get cute on each other. I don't think does this show out as a freaking shootout to you? Neither team can play offense. I know Dallas can, but
I don't
see it. I don't see them lighting the scoreboard up here. I'm sorry. Give me the under as a green light bet. And
I'm just taking Dallas. I just don't trust Jordan Love at all.
25-20, I have the final score, 45 points. I mean, Green Bay, they might get embarrassed, but I got news for you. I think Dallas is wildly overrated.
Oh, I 100% agree.
And I would love nothing more. I hate Green Bay.
Oh, I would be so happy if I lost this bet in Green Bay.
I want to see Matt LaFleur crying in the corner like he was against the Lions the first time we played them this year, crying and looking like a rape victim in the corner. I would love it, but I don't think so. I think Dallas, they'll win. Dallas is definitely going to win because it's in the best interest of the NFL, the script writers. I'm joking. Dude, Vinny, have you taken a look at some of the commenters on this show?
Oh yeah.
There's been we have a few conspiracy theory guys that are love it.
Oh, the script.
They literally think that this is a script and this and that. All right, now here comes the breathtaking point in the show for me, and I almost just want to sign off and let Vinny go because. First of all, if you're not familiar with me or my Lions fandom, Matthew Stafford is probably my favorite. Well, he's definitely my favorite Lions quarterback in the history of the franchise. I love him. Not so sure about his wife. I know she gets into talking shit and all that. But that dude is a class act who's done nothing. He came to the Lions, the worst franchise in the NFL at the time. And for most of his career there was the worst franchise in the NFL. He never complained. He never bitched. He never blamed anybody else for anything. All he did was come out, play injured, man's gamed it up. He's a warrior. I loved it. And when he got traded to the Rams, And everybody, whether you admit it or not, they traded a Jared Goff, who was a throwaway in that trade, for 19 draft picks and Jared Goff. And the giveaway was Matthew Stafford. And I was like, I hope Stafford goes and wins with the Rams. He wins the Super Bowl with them. Everybody's a winner because next thing you know, the Lions are stacking up a team. The best trade in NFL history in my lifetime, where both teams got a major piece of that. I love Stafford. This is a tearjerker for me, but I want the Lions to fucking kill him. That's where I'm at. Stafford, sorry. I know he has no fucking clue who I am, but I do have mad respect for Matthew Stafford. And I guess if anybody's going to beat us, maybe it makes it a little easier, but probably not, because the Lions haven't won a playoff game since the early 90s. So fuck off anybody who thinks, oh, my team has only won 7 Super Bowls and whatever. Go fuck yourself. If you're a Lions fan, or the only people I'll listen to on that shit is the Browns. Browns fans can bitch. But here we come. Lions -3 at home. And by the way, they should have been 13-4 with the number 2 seed, but fuck Dallas. This is gonna get demonetized, this one, because I get so emotional over this. But this is my team, babe. And we'll get to your team next. But 51.5, Lions -3. Where'd you come out of this? Because I'll be honest. Well, just go ahead. I want to hear your.
I think the Lions are gonna cover. The Rams have been playing good, but I think this is just kind of the way the NFC ended up being this year. I don't think their last few games when they went on this little run have been very good. I mean, they've basically, the only playoff team they beat was the Browns. They're like 1-6 this season against playoff teams. The only team they beat was the Browns the week that they called Joe Flacco in, like a day before the game,
and had to get somebody.
Yeah. So that's literally the only playoff team they've beat. They've gotten destroyed by pretty much every other playoff team. I mean, yes, they played the Ravens tough of 4 weeks ago. Fine. I'll give you that. But their last 3 wins have come against the last 4 wins have come against the Commanders, who everybody beat, the Saints, who were underperformed all year, the Giants by 1 point. Giants are not very good. And then they just beat the San Francisco second string unit by a point. If Detroit plays their game, this is much more than a 3-point game. I feel like this spread is a lot to do with the Rams offense as of recent. But if Detroit plays their game like they played all year, this isn't a game. I think they run over them.
Small footnotes as a Lions fan. Sam Laporta, the all-world rookie tight end, is out. Sprained MCL or whatever. He's hopefully only going to miss 1 week if we win. But Aiden Hutchinson, our defensive end, number 1 pick overall last year from Michigan, is playing at a Pro Bowl level at this point. He was late to the party this year. He's got 5 or 6 sacks the last 2 weeks. The Lions are healthy, the healthiest they've been besides Laporta all year. Their defensive line is finally playing like they should because they're finally all together. Our offensive line is elite. Jared Goff is good when he's got elite weapons around him. But Matthew Stafford I compare him to Brett Favre, and I'm not saying he's better or worse than Brett Favre, but he is a gunslinger, and you live and die with the gunslinger. And when the gunslinger is hot and firing off bullets, get the fuck out of here with that, because that dude can beat anybody or lose to anybody on any given day. And that's why I have no confidence in this game either direction. I wouldn't be surprised. I will guarantee you one thing. I'm gonna be sweating bullets on my 15th beer Sunday night, pacing around the room like a fucking maniac, because this game means the world to me. And dude, I don't know. I do think my numbers, which I'm ignoring. I wouldn't bet this game if my life depended on it. I have 26-23 Detroit, which is exactly this point spread.
Yeah.
maybe an underplay if you want to get cute, but I wouldn't bet this thing. Are you betting it?
Yeah, I'm gonna play Detroit the cover. I don't
Yeah,
think
I think that's
I just
realistic.
I just feel like the Rams have struggled against good teams. Like their losses this year, like they have allowed good teams to put up points on them. And
And I'm going to tell you,
you know,
dude, if
it
if
could.
you see if the Lions win, and I'm telling you, it's been since I want to say either 91 or 94, and I should know this. They haven't won a fucking playoff game in that long, dude. 30 years. That team, that town, that community I grew up in, they need it. That
Oh
this
yeah.
team needs it. Dan Campbell's a fucking beast.
If they win, they
Brad
probably get their
Holmes.
rematch. They get their revenge game against Dallas if they win.
Yep.
So,
And it could
like
work out that they go to the second round and play Tampa too, by the way, which there's a path for the Lions to get to the Super Bowl halfway realistically. And if that happens, dude, I will be on here. I'll just do live streams of me crying in a beer. You have no idea what it means to be 45 years old and never see a good team in your lifetime.
I don't.
And then have
I
this.
don't. Unfortunately,
So,
fortunately, I've had a pretty good. I've had pretty good
it's
luck with my
incredible.
teams.
It's really incredible. Well, I was spoiled as a kid with the Tigers were good when I was a little kid. The Pistons were good when I was a little kid. The Red Wings were the best team in the NHL for a long time. The Lions have been shit my whole life. This is the best team they've ever had. In football, I'm a football fan, so this is it.
Yeah.
If they lose this game, I'll be devastated.
I would be pretty devastated too if they lost.
Yeah, man, they deserve it. Dan Campbell deserves it. These people that are running this show, they're good-hearted people, man. I don't know them personally, obviously, but I feel like they're on the right path. They're doing all the right things.
Yep.
I love it. I'm rooting for this team. I realize they're probably not Super Bowl ready this year, but fuck it, who knows, man. Last game, Vinny's Club on an epic, maybe the greatest downfall I've seen of a team that was considered elite at the beginning of the year. I never thought they were elite this year, to be honest. And I took so much shit. I had them ranked, I think, 5th or something in the early power rankings when they were 7-1, and this and that. And I'm like, they're not that good. They're losing, or they're winning, but they're winning by 1 point against shitbags. They're not that good. And now they have just taken an epic downward spiral. But Vinny, before you say something, I'm going to tell you, if there was ever a time for a team like that to get right, going into a Tampa Bay, and by the way, I'd like to see Tampa Bay win this game if I'm being honest, but Tampa Bay is the ultimate first round opponent for them, right?
Yeah.
Where are you coming out on this one? I know you're going to be anti-Eagles because you're harder. Everybody's harder on their home team.
Yeah, I'm gonna play the over. I hope they can win this game. I mean, it's like one of those things where I kind of hope they don't win because we're gonna get embarrassed next week if we win.
Do you really feel that way? Like, you don't
yeah,
think
this team has had the same issue. So on top of the offensive issues that they've gone through this season, where it's a first year offensive coordinator and it's just not, the offense just isn't clicking. The defense has had the exact same issue they had all last season, and they got to the Super Bowl last season because the pass rush was good. This year, the pass rush is around average. You know, they had like 80 sacks last year. This year, they have like a little less than 50, which is like kind of normal. And their linebacking core is probably the worst linebacking core in football. So teams have literally just been tearing us apart, throwing the ball over the middle. And like the last half of the season, teams have been throwing the ball over the middle, and it's
they were 9-1, or were they 10-1 at one point?
Yeah, we were 10-1. But even if you look back at some of those games, like the game where they beat the Commanders in overtime, Sam Howell had like 300 yards.
Yeah, I know, dude. Shout out Nolan Rogers, who's a good commenter. Yep. He's a big commenter on the channel, and he's a Philly fan. He was crucifying me, and I love you, Nolan. I'm not trying to be an asshole, but I didn't see. I thought this team was not great.
Yeah, I said last year when they lost. Last year was the year, and they didn't win it last year. I knew it was going to be a step backwards this year. I didn't think it was going to be like this, but they didn't fix the defense. They brought some people in to try to fix the defense, and the pieces haven't worked. Like any team that's going to throw, like, I'm fully expecting Mike Evans
they should beat the Bucs.
They should.
I mean,
they should, but I'm fully expecting Mike Evans to have 120 yards on like 11 receptions.
If they beat Tampa Bay and then go in and lose to Dallas or Detroit, whoever they play in the second round,
they play San Francisco.
Okay. No matter what, if they win this game, they play San Francisco.
If they win, they play San Francisco. If I want to say yes, unless one of those.
Yeah, because I think this is the. Yeah, they're the what seed?
They're the full.
Six.
Yeah, the Eagles are the 6.
Yeah.
So like the Eagles basically would need Dallas to lose, I believe, not to have to play San Francisco.
And by the way, we'll talk about this after, but
yeah. So
for me, I think Tampa Bay is going to cover. That's my bet, and I have it at 3 points. I think it's going to be a tearjerker. I do have this game at 24-21 in favor of Tampa. I even like Tampa to outright win this game.
Yep.
And that is purely by the numbers. That's not opinion.
It's fair. We can't
on eyeball test. Of course, you'd take the Eagles. Is Brown playing? Is he healthy?
I don't know yet.
That's a huge question. Yet. That's an elite receiver.
But that's kind of why I'm going to take the over here. I feel like Tampa Bay, even if they lose, they're going to put up 20, 21 points. Yeah, so I feel like both teams. Yeah, I feel like both teams are going to score in the 20s. That's why I'm going to go with the over. I'm fully expecting like Baker to have a day here.
It feels like to me this is another game where at the end of the game, no matter which direction it's going, there's going to be a fucking field goal kicker lining up for something to decide the game. Yep. And it's just going to be 3 or less. And that's the only reason I would take Tampa here.
And when we talked about the games last week, I said, like, the way that Detroit was, because we were talking about if they were everyone who was going to play their starters. And it was like Detroit didn't need to, because their last loss was wasn't bad, even though they kind of got robbed there against Dallas. So, but then, they played.
They still had a really outside shot of
right. So they played, and they looked good. They won by 10. The gears were
they
clicking.
Beat up Minnesota.
The Eagles, realistically, were not going to move. They played everybody, and they lost to the Giants.
And Arizona, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And they lost to Arizona. They choked against Arizona the week before, and then the Giants blew them out. If the Eagles had, if you look at the Eagles' schedule, if they had beaten the Giants, the Arizona, and who was the last bad team? Oh, in Seattle. They choked 2 of those games away. They choked against Seattle.
All 3 of those teams were falling apart before your eyes. They probably would have preferred to lose all 3 of them, to be honest.
If they won all 3 of those games, the Eagles are the 1 seed. It's like they lost they choked away 2 games, and the Giants embarrassed them. And the Eagles starters played. That wasn't, and that's what I mean. Like they're literally going into the playoffs, losing to the Giants by multiple scores with the starting unit playing. I mean, they're just, this team is in free fall. And like,
well, what if they get their shit together and blow out Tampa here? I don't expect it, but I'm saying
I've been waiting half the season to see them get their spark back, and because I don't think the NFC is great this year.
And by the way, shout out to Mike Valenti, who's my favorite broadcaster out of Detroit. He made this call on DeAndre Swift. DeAndre Swift, the former Lion, went to the Eagles, and he's had a great year. He's a great running back, great talent. Oh, surprise, surprise. DeAndre Swift quit at the end of the year. He did that for us 2 years for the Lions. Dan Campbell said, get the fuck out of here, loser. No, and they drafted a rookie, and they cut Swift, who everybody here liked. I liked Swift. I respected him. But the kid has no attitude. He doesn't like football. He doesn't like winning. And they kicked him off the team, basically. And I was like, holy shit. And the Eagles took him, and then it's like, oh, wow, he's doing really good for the Eagles. And now at the end of the year, when it really matters, he's garbage.
Yep.
So, dude.
And half of it's I'm sure he's I think if you listen to the New Heights podcast with the Kelsey brothers, I think it's more Swift just gets frustrated because it's like they get the ball down, Swift to run the ball down to the 1, and he's not getting the touchdown because you have a play that's got a 90-something% success rate with the tush push. And like,
Yeah,
I mean,
he's the type of emotional wreck. He's a
he
prima
wants a
donna.
touchdown, and
He's a
that's
prima donna. Unlike,
but like that's like so far down the list of problems the Eagles
do you
have
think
that like
David Montgomery on the Lions is crying because he doesn't get a 1-yard touchdown? That guy doesn't give a fuck.
No,
he wants to run his head into a brick wall.
Right. Well, I mean, and Swift is kind of playing for another. I mean, Swift's kind of playing for another contract. I believe the Eagles only brought him in on a 1-year deal. So like Swift needs to play like that's kind of the issue with the NFL as a whole with the running backs is like if you have a guy that's like that just wants to win and you're going to sign him again knowing he didn't put up the stats that he should have, like sure. But like when you have teams that cycle through running backs the way the Eagles do, and then at the end of the season when you look at somebody's raw stats like Swift, it's like, "Oh, he had a good year, but he didn't find the end zone a lot." And like other teams see that and they're like, like if teams don't take the tush push into account, like that's probably going to cost him a couple million on free agency because he didn't score touchdowns. And like I would be pissed off about that
too.
He
doesn't show up in big moments, and
right.
I don't disagree with the tush push thing, but he definitely
that too.
He definitely showed up as a big giant crybaby coward.
Oh yeah,
most
but this Eagles team has so many issues, though. I would not be surprised if Tampa wins the game. I'm just hoping that a game. If they lose, if Tampa does win, I'm hoping it's a shootout. I'm playing the over, and I'm.
Can you imagine a shootout with Baker Mayfield? In
all
honesty, I don't know what it is. I've said this 1,000 times. I root for Baker Mayfield. I don't know why. I kind of feel sorry for him. I really root for them only because I don't know. He's one of those guys that I think is, he's an underdog. So you root for the underdog. But with that said, Vinny, to close this thing out, let's talk the biggest. So we have 3 games on each side of the NFC and AFC. Who's the most likely favorite to get upset? Out of the AFC, let's talk. Is it, let's see, Cleveland's favored by 3, KC by 4, and Buffalo by 10. And I'm not talking about point spreads. Who's the most likely to get beat outright, in your opinion, between those 3 games?
I would say Buffalo out of those 3 games was the likely.
And that's the biggest spread. This is why.
I would say Buffalo just because they're going against Mike Tomlin.
I'd be shocked if that game's not a close nail biter.
I would just say because it's Mike Tomlin. I mean that he's gonna have you're gonna get the best out of those Pittsburgh players with Mike Tomlin coaching. The guy doesn't coach losing teams. So I don't.
Tomlin's proven himself this year more than any year before.
And they're not
everybody's already respected him, but this team sucks, and they're in here 10-7. They're in here.
Yeah, so I think they're the most likely team to lose, just because that's one of those things where you can see there's a scenario where you see Pittsburgh come in with a great game plan and Buffalo is just deer in
I would not be surprised at all.
No.
How about on the NFC side? You got Dallas favored by 7.5, the Lions by 3.5, and Philly by 2.5.
I think it's Philly. The team's fucking free fall.
I'm going to step out on a limb. I think Dallas is very vulnerable too, honestly. And it's not because I love or respect Green Bay a whole lot. I just think that Green Bay is sneaky, and they at times put a lot of turnovers on the board. And I think that Dak falls apart under pressure a lot. And it's Dallas's MO to gag this time of year.
I would
love to see it.
If Dallas and Philly loses, I am 100. Anybody but the Cowboys. That was always my dad's rule. He didn't care who I rooted for as long as it wasn't Dallas. So as long as Dallas loses, I don't really care what happens the rest of the way. I'd be happy.
Yeah, dude. Same. I don't want to see Dallas do anything. Mr. Irsay, do you have any thoughts about if Dallas loses in the first round?
Love to see it. Love to see it.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's it, man. Yep. Dude, I am stressed out. I'm a stressed wreck. Biggest game in my lifetime.
And they have to play Matthew Stafford. It's just
take that as if you wanted to lose to somebody, at least then we can root for Stafford to go for it. But I don't think the Rams are going to win the Super Bowl either. So it's got
the NFC is so bad.
I want the Lions to just skull fuck Stafford, and I love Stafford.
I have a hard time. I have a hard time believing it's not going to be either Detroit or San Francisco out of the NFC.
It has to, right? I mean, and
Like,
seriously, I wouldn't be
NFC
surprised with Purdy the way he is, and no disrespect to Purdy, but he hasn't done it. Why not the Lions, baby? Let's go.
It's just a bad. The NFC is just.
What are we going to do? Because the Niners are vulnerable, dude. And I definitely don't believe in Dallas or Philly any more than the Lions.
If the winner doesn't come from if the Super Bowl winner is not an AFC team, I will be shocked because I would take pretty much. I would take most of the. We talked about it with the future odds. I would take most of the AFC teams before I even touched an NFC team. I mean, I would take Baltimore. I'd take Kansas City. I would take Buffalo before them. I'd take the Browns before anybody in the NFC. Like, NFC is just bad. So
we are going to learn a lot about ourselves with those opinions this weekend because
I'm fine with it. I will live it if San Francisco somehow wins the whole thing. Fine, like they're
the best team. They should on paper. Well, them in Baltimore. Right, it should logically it should be Baltimore and San Francisco by a fucking mile. Yeah, I just don't see it, man. Because Purdy and Lamar, who I had Lamar on my fantasy team. I've been rooting for him all year. He has gone next level, even by his standards. Lamar's a monster, but he hasn't won a Super Bowl. So until you do that,
he's 1-4 in the playoffs. Lamar's like 1-3 or 1-4 in the playoffs.
Would it really surprise you if he falls apart and has a bad playoff game and loses? Same with Purdy. It's wide open, babe. Yeah, that's the beauty. This is going to be a fun playoff year. The NFL has been really good this year. Vinny, anything to close it out? I'm going to close it out with this. Go fucking Lions. It might not be our year this year, but we're fucking there finally, baby. If it's not this year, the Lions are winning the Super Bowl next year. Okay. Vinny, your Eagles?
I just hope they don't embarrass themselves. This is the worst Eagles playoff team.
Oh man, it's been what a because they're young, they're still young. Let's not get depressed. Let's fire it up for the kids at home. It's going to be a fun wild card weekend. I think Philly's going to survive the weekend.
Let's hope the games are good. It would suck if we get 6. Yeah, I do too. But it would suck if we get 6 games and 6 blowouts. Like I
think out of the 6 games, I think you're going to get 3 last-minute field goals that decide.
I would be fine with it. I would love a back and forth type of game where like whoever gets ball last is going to win, an overtime game. Like I just want to see some good football.
The only game I might think is a blowout, the most likely blowout to me is Kansas City to blow out Miami.
Yeah. I agree. I agree with that because it depends on what Kansas City team shows up.
Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for viewing us all year. We'll be back next week with the divisional round.
Yep.
Thanks everybody for joining. Stick with us. Hopefully we can provide another winning week. We've been winning all year for you. Peace on earth.